So I'm going to sew a few of the pieces together. Remember when I told you when we were cutting things out, I said you don't have to do all the markings, until after you've already done all your stitching. Like this is Olive's bear that I'm finishing up. So I'm going to sew the head together, and I haven't put the markings on. Like I haven't put this marking or this marking on, or even on this part here. I haven't put the marking on for the nose. I did do, oh yeah, this bear has the little gusset here in the cheek. And what I did was I stitched it all first and then I sewed the gusset together. You can do however you don't have to do it that way. You could have put the gusset in, you sewn this little dart, not gusset, but this little dart. I guess it is a gusset. And then stitched your bear. It doesn't matter whichever way you've done, but I did this already. So, but I haven't put the marking here. So I'm going to put my markings on now for my nose. Oops, it would help if I put I really don't need to because I know where these markings are. The tip of the nose, and then here, the middle of that, and then down here. My pen's not working, but I know where my markings are. I've made enough bears to know this. So now, when you go to sew your head together, you're going to take your two head pieces, put them together, right sides together, and you're going to sew this part first. You're going to sew this chin part first. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew that, and then we will put this gusset part on, the head gusset. Okay, I have sewn this part together here, and I did a very narrow, scant, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch seam. I didn't go in 1/4 of an inch. So now we are going to fit our gusset into this. Just pop that out like this. Now, again, we're going to go right sides together. So we are going to put that dot right in the middle there, because that's where we want it. And then you're going to bring this around and fit it all in nicely. Now you can baste this if you want. See, I put this eye in here, and this is a problem because it's pushing on where I'm going to sew. I'm going to try and do it with that in there, but I might have to take that out of there. I should not have put that piece in there yet. So you just fit this all the way around. And, if it's the first time making a bear like this, I would suggest maybe you do baste it. It certainly would make things a lot easier for you. You can pin it if you want. I mean, I'm doing this very heavily. I don't usually put this many clips in, but I'm just doing this to show you how well this is going to fit together. So now we're coming down to the back of the head here. And yes, there's a flap left over. That's supposed to be like that. And now we'll do the same thing on the other side. So you're just going to join this up around here. Just work it in. See, this one will go much better because I don't have that eye in there. I might have to take that eye out. I don't know. I'll see how it goes. And just gently work it. And when you're sewing it, I mean, if you want to hand sew this, you probably would be way further ahead because it'd be much easier to hand sew it than machine sew it. But if you're using your machine, just go slow, little space at a time. Just take your time. This is the fussiest part of the bear, is putting this head gusset on. once you have this on, you're really sailing. There we go. So I'm going to take this and sew this along. I'm going to start at one end and go all the way around and end at the other end. And I probably am going to start on this side because I want to see this eye. I want this to be in my, if I sew it this way, it's hidden from me. I want to be able to get my machine past this without making a great big mess. So I'm going to do that. But before I do that, I already sewed the body together. I don't know what I was thinking of, but I mean, it is very simple to do. So I'm going to get my body pieces here to show you what I did. So here's your front. You have 2 of these. And here's your back. You have 2 of these. So you, first of all, you sew your 2 fronts together so that you have this piece. And then you sew your 2 backs together down the center. No, you don't. Disregard that. You don't want to, don't sew in between these 2 marks because that's going to be this spot right here where you're going to leave open for stuffing. So you're going to sew here and from this dot here, leave this part open because this is where you're going to be able to stuff your bear. This bear is sewn completely together. You make the bear and then you stuff it. You don't make the individual, like you don't stuff the arms and then put it on. You sew the whole bear together before you stuff it. If it was a jointed bear, then you could stuff the pieces individually, but this type of non-jointed bear, you put the whole thing together first. So you're going to sew the 2 sides together down the middle, and then you're going to sew the 2 backs together here and here, and then you sew the back to the front, and then the shoulder seams. Very simple, actually. It's not hard at all. So I'm going to go and sew the head, and then I'll be back. So here we are. I've got my bear all stitched up. I ended up having to take that eye out. It just was too close to where I was seaming, and it was moving the fabric too much, so I actually had to take it out, which is fine. I kind of figured I would have to. The other thing that I did, because this is cotton and it frays, and because this is for a child who's going to be playing with this, I actually did double stitching. I went around and attached it all, and then I did it again, just to kind of give it a little bit more sturdiness. The only place I didn't double stitch was right through here. I went up to here with the double stitching, but then I took my needle and thread and I really did a lot of whip stitching and back stitching right in this join here. So hopefully this is going to be child proof. Don't forget this area here. Well, let's turn this out. Let's turn this right way and see how I did first before I say what I'm going to say. And you'll be surprised at how small this bear actually is. You know, when you're stitching on it in flat pieces, it seems like it's quite large, but it's actually not. Oh yeah, see, it's fine. The nose is fine. So now you can see the head. It looks very pointy because it's got no stuffing in it, of course. Now, what I was going to say about this part here, don't forget that you're going to be stitching over this, or if you want to, you can buy a plastic nose to put on here, but I prefer the stitching, and you're going to make sort of a wedge shape nose out of stitching. You're just going to do satin stitch back and forth, and then you're going to run along here for I guess part of the mouth. You run along in the middle, and then you do your mouth this way. So this is going to be heavily stitched on top of all the stitching that you've done here. So you know, this is going to be really well enforced. So now I can put my eyes back on, and I can put the other eye on. Because I've done my stitching, it's not going to interfere with stuffing now. So the head is on. It's all together. The ears, again, you don't put the ears on until the very last thing you do is put your ears on. So here's the head all put together. Now we have to put the body and the head together. Before I do that, I'm going to sew my arms together. And I haven't, yes I have. I want to make sure that's not the right one. Okay, I'll take the doll out because we don't need the doll. That's that side. So this one will go together like this. And I will sew this all the way around here. And then the other one I'll do the same, and I'll sew the legs together, and then I'll come back to you. So here is the one little arm. It turned out really nice. It's got I love olive here at the end. There's the little pocket for the doll. And she'll just go in there like that. I am not going to attach the doll because, again, that will be one of the last things that I do. However, I am going to attach the string that's going to hold the doll. I don't want the doll to get lost, so I will eventually attach a long thread to the doll. So I thought before I sew this together, I will put this piece of string on. So I'm just got the doll in there just so I can see where I'm going to attach it. I'm going to put it about here. And I'm just using a piece of crochet cotton, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just going to, I've got a knot in here. Actually, I'll double knot it so it doesn't come out. And then I'll just leave that string loose. I'll take the doll out for now, but I'll just put that in there for right now. So that's ready for when I do put the doll in the pocket after the bear is finished. The string is ready, and it'll be inside the bear. So that's the arms. The ears, simple again. You just put 2 ears together and stitch around. So I'm going to continue to do this. I'll come back when I'm ready to do a foot and show you how that one's done. Okay, I've got my 2 arms, my ears, my head, my body sewn together. We're down to the legs. So to sew the legs together, you put your 2 leg pieces together. I have this little thing here. I'm going to move it into the center so I don't catch it with my sewing machine, and I am going to just tack these 2 together. So you're going to sew along here and along here, not along here. So just your 2 sides first. I must admit that I have been having a little bit of trouble sewing this together on my sewing machine. And I don't know if it's my sewing machine or the way I've stitched this, but you're going through quite a few layers once you start to sew. And I did my stitching very close to the edge. Now, when I make my next one, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave my seam allowance there. I'm not going to stitch right up to the edge. But depending on how you've placed your fabric, you know, if you have a little piece of fabric here, you sort of have to stitch it down. So I guess these are learning curves, because I've never done one like this before. And so you might have a little bit of problem here when you've stitched this and you turn it back. Like for instance, I'll show you on one of my ears here. Which one is it? This one. See this piece here, bring it up close. It wasn't all attached in because the next piece was stitched down. So what I'm going to do, this is a little bit raw right here. And I mean, I could leave it. It's a scrappy bear. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand stitch that down now before I attach it to my... So you might find little areas like that where, you know, the piece that is now at the top, because you've made a seam, is a little raw. You can go along and stitch it afterwards. I mean, this is for a child, so that's why I'm thinking that. But if it was just for show, I wouldn't worry about it, really. So I'm going to go and stitch here and stitch here, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've got the two sides sewn together. I have double sewed my seams again because this is for a child and these are cotton knit frays. And the basic sewing things apply here. You want to make sure that you clip all your seams. So you're going to leave this like it is, and you're going to take your little foot, and if you've made your marks here and here, I haven't, you're going to have your right sides together. So this is going to go in face down, and you're going to put that dot, that center dot, right at that seam there, and clip it. And I think actually I might baste these in. These can be kind of tricksy. So I'm just going to clip it now, but I think I might baste this in. And I think, you know, if you're not somebody who has done a lot of this kind of piecing things inside with curves and stuff, baste it in. You'll save yourself a lot of anxiety and trauma. Now this one, the dot goes here. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? I'm sorry. So you're going to fit that little part in there. The dot will meet this bottom back seam. And then that should all fit beautifully, and it does. So I am going to sew this together. Actually, I don't think I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is pin it with my tiny little applique pins. That makes better sense. Where are they? Here they are here. These are great. These clippy things are good too, but I find they're really not good for small spaces. But these little pins are perfect for small spaces. There we go. That's the way to do it. Ow! Ouch. Ouch. Gosh. Fumbly fingers today, I tell you. They're sharper than you think. Yeah, make sure you clip all your curves. General rules of sewing apply to this. Ow! Trouble is, see, I'm looking through the camera and not. That's why I'm piercing myself. All right, I think I got this good enough to sew. So I'm going to do both legs. I haven't sewn the other one together yet. And then I will come back to you. It's really hard working through a camera. There. Okay, so I'm going to sew that, and then I'll be able to turn it right side out, and then I'm also going to do this foot here. Same thing here. I've got all this extra. I'm going to fold this in like this. Actually, I think I might just put a little pin here so that it doesn't get caught up in the stitching, because I really do want that fluffy part to stick out over top of my seam once it's done. There we go. So I'm going to pin these two together. See, I probably shouldn't have put that button on there, but I did. Yeah, these little pins are great for small projects like this. Now this side. It's quite a thick wad there. Okay, I'm going to go sew all of this together and I'll be back. So I have the foot stitched together, and I won't lie to you, this part is very easy, but this part is difficult. So what I did, because I am using the machine, and I would strongly advise for you to hand sew this part in, but if you don't want to, then just machine stitch here and here, leave these two ends open, and then hand stitch the tops. That's what I did, because it just it's a small area, and I just couldn't get it to work. So what I did was I stitched from here down to here. I just left the very tip open, and I've hand stitched that together, and that worked beautifully. So this may be the point in your bear where you chuck it in the corner and say, I'm not finishing this. Don't do that. Just give yourself a break. If this part is challenging you, it is a little challenging to get this all pieced together. But I think when I do my memory bear, I'm going to hand stitch the whole thing together. I am not going to machine stitch it. It's much, believe it or not, it's very easy to hand stitch it. So that is just a little suggestion when it comes to the feet. And you might find this also in this, when you're putting this head gusset in, the same idea. It was a little tricky. You have a little bit more room here, so it's not as bad, but this part right here can be a little tricky. So if you are using the machine, you could sew up to here and here and then just put this part in by hand stitching. Or, like I said, when I do my memory bear, I'm going to hand stitch the whole bear together, because that's part of the slow stitching thing. The only reason I'm using the machine in this one is because it's for a child, and I want it to be really child-proof, because she's going to be playing with it, moving it around, and I just thought it would be better, stronger to stitch it with the machine. But I am augmenting that stitching with hand stitching as well, just to make sure that it's durable. That's all. I see one little spot here. I'm going to take it back to the machine, and I'm going to go over that spot right there. Oh, I did already. Okay. So here's what I'm talking about. I stitched from here to here on both sides, but the toe part is open. So all I'm going to do now is just stitch that. It fits really nicely, but to get this to go through the machine because of this is a little difficult. So, this way you can whip stitch this way and whip stitch that way on this very toe part, and it stays nice and firm. Same thing with this end. I'm just going to do this last part by hand. So we'll turn this one out, in or out, and see how we went with it. There's my mom's bird. And I just use, I've got a big plastic knitting needle that I use for this. Oh, I didn't clip my seams. See what happens when you don't clip your seam. I'm trying to make this video not be so long. I'll have to go back and open it up, clip that seam. Yeah, I have to clip that right there. But you get the idea. There is the foot. Of the bear. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish this video right here. The next video we are going to, oh, there's some pin in there, I just saw. What kind of pin is that? I don't know. The next video we will embroider the nose on and the mouth on the bear, and we will put the bear together and stuff it. So I hope that you're still enjoying this project, and don't give up when it comes to these fiddly little things. Just get out your hand sewing and sew it in. It makes it much easier. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and sharing and liking my videos. And enjoy your stitching. Bye for now.